G'day everyone, welcome to Connected. Hi again everyone, my name is Callum Martin. I own and operate AVDC, which is a car audio store in Adelaide in South Australia. Along with my colleague Adam, we get to work on some really fantastic cars, building some great sound systems and installing electronic accessories. The shop's been here for nearly 8 years now, and we've managed to build a fantastic showroom, workshop and fabrication facilities to do all the work that we do, building custom sound systems for cars. We have a lot of fun doing what we do, and I really love picking up new skills and trying new things while I'm here at work. And we're creating this video series to take you along for the ride, to give you a look at the new things we're trying, the things that we're doing, the things that we're building, and I hope you enjoy this series. We're starting out with a sound system build on my very own car. This is my Toyota 86. It is a 2013 model. It is a GTS, which is the fully optioned model in Australia with things like push button start and fancy bits and pieces, climate control, all of that. And I've owned this car for a couple of years now, but I haven't really had a sound system in it to show off. And that's a little bit of a pity, because I really did buy it as an opportunity to show people what we could do with sound systems. And that is exactly what we are going to do in this series. I want to take you through the entire process of building a high-end signature sound system in my Toyota 86, right from the brief and the design through to the completion of a fantastic high-power, high-end sound system. It's pretty exciting. I mean, the installer's car is often the last one to get worked on. It's often the last one to get much attention. And I don't think it should be that way. I reckon we should be able to show off what we do, and I'm really looking forward to taking you through this build. First of all, let me take you through some facts about this Toyota 86. So far I've installed a double DIN head unit. It is Pioneer's previous flagship model, the AVIC F80 DAB, which in Australia was their flagship model. It has things like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, digital radio, CD and DVD playback, USB, AM FM radio, Bluetooth, the whole 9 yards. It's a fantastic unit. It's got a great screen. I've really enjoyed using it over the last couple of years. I've modified the fascia of the Toyota dash a little bit because, as some of you may be aware, Toyotas have a slightly wider opening than double DIN, even though it's a double DIN frame behind it. I filled in that wider opening to create a proper double DIN opening, and I've refinished that in a brushed silver vinyl wrap, which I think really brings up the look of the car a little bit compared to the slightly danky old weird imitation carbon fiber vinyl that Toyota put on their standard. And I've also added a shark fin antenna. They are standard on some later models of Toyota, but mine does a little bit more than the standard antennas do. This one is a really nice unit. We've had it painted to match the car, and it does three things, not just AM FM radio reception. It does do that, but in addition, it also has DAB radio reception, so our digital radio is received through that antenna. We don't have to stick an extra antenna on the front windscreen. And it also does GPS reception. With it on the roof here, it picks up a signal even faster. So in terms of the audio-visual installation so far, that's really all that's relevant. It's cool to have that in there. It's been working really well for me, but yeah, I'm really looking at building on that. And there's even some cool little things I did with that install of that Pioneer touchscreen that I'll show you along the way. So with any car, there are advantages and disadvantages of how well they lend themselves to a sound system. The 86 is no exception. I'm happy to go as far as I want to create the system and the sound that I'm looking for in this car. And it's important to work with the strengths and weaknesses of the car so that you get a good result. And in the case of the 86, it's actually not too bad a platform for doing a sound system from a practical sense. There's actually quite a lot of space in the car, and I don't mean that in literal cabin volume, but for things like mounting a head unit, there's a lot of room in the dash. For a car this size, there's plenty of room for wiring down the sides of the car, in the boot, under the dash, in the engine bay even, there's plenty of room to run wiring. And the 86, being a Toyota, being a Subaru, being a Subaru, being a Toybaru, whatever you want to call it, it's quite well made, quite well put together in a practical sense. So it's easy to pull apart, it's easy to put back together. It all makes sense. It's all quite logical to work on, and that's something I enjoy, especially if I'm going to be working on it a lot, which I am. There are some disadvantages too. The car is quite small. The interior of the cabin is very small, and in particular, it's got quite a large flat dash with quite a short windscreen. And acoustically, that's not the best. It means more or less that the speakers have a larger path length difference, which means that the speaker on the driver's side is quite close to you, and the speaker on the passenger side is quite a long way away. And we can correct for that with things like time alignment, but of course it's always good to acknowledge what you're up against. And if they were in a larger car, the speakers are all a little bit further away, those differences in distance are minimized, and you've got better potential for sound quality before you start doing things like time alignment. So it's worth knowing that that's what I'm up against. That large, flat, deep dashboard also has potential for a lot of reflections, and you're already near the windscreen, which has the ability to cause a lot of problematic reflections as well. So when we're mounting speakers up in the car, on the dashboard, on the pillars, wherever we're going with them, it's really important to know that reflections could play a big part on whether we get a good soundstage or not. The other thing is the space, or lack thereof, in the boot. Now, I'm going to put this as a disadvantage in that if you left the car as it was, it's actually tricky to even fit 10-inch subwoofers upright in the boot. It's just not that deep. Even without the spare tyre, which my car didn't come with one, there's a fairly limited amount of space with which to fit gear, especially vertically, and the opening through the seat back to where the rear seats are is fairly small. Now, the reason there is also an advantage in this is that the rear seats are pointless. There's no use putting people in them. Real sized people don't fit in the back seat of an 86. What I'm going to do is take it out completely. I am going to delete the rear seat. That way I'm going to have the space from the back of the front seat all the way through the boot lid to work with. We're not going to have to worry about trims, about clearance for folding seats, about room for seat belts, any of that. That's all going, and we're starting from scratch the whole way through. So there's the advantage. There's actually quite a lot of space when you do that. And there's potential to do some pretty unique things with the car once you factor out the rear seats as a thing that you have to work around. So I'm quite excited about that. And I think the last thing that is worth mentioning is the interior quality. Toyota and Subaru use fairly low-cost plastics. It's a bugbear of mine. They use polypropylene, and I'm going to whinge and whine more about that as we get through the video series, but it does present some challenges when it comes to custom fabrication, and they're also notoriously rattly cars. They have fairly hard suspension, and the interiors are fairly low cost. Even just the fact that the cars have fairly minimal sound deadening leads to a lot of road noise, which does get in the way of a good music experience. And I'm going to take you through some cool tricks along the way I'm going to be using to confront and work around issues like that. So what sort of sound system am I putting in this car? Is it a demo car? Is it a competition car? Well, there's a lot of ways of classifying cars in the car audio world. Guys love to talk about sound quality, or SPL. Sound quality being the most accurate reproduction of music that you can do, and SPL, sound pressure level, being the loudest bass that's possible. And the truth is that I am not necessarily looking to go to either of those extremes, but this will be a car primarily built for sound quality, which is that I'm looking to create the clearest, cleanest sounding music possible with a realistic soundstage and imaging on the dashboard, something that I can really enjoy listening to music, something that's really capable of reproducing detail and dynamics really, really well, with the fantastic side effect of being able to play quite loud and being able to show off at car shows and meets so that people can get an idea of what a balanced all-round system from AVDC can look and sound like. I'd like to push our capabilities a little bit harder and try some new fabrication techniques or new combinations of fabrication techniques on this build so that I can learn a little bit more and we can show what's possible to our customers and to people who see the car at shows. One way we use to describe our style when it comes to custom sound systems is more factory than factory. What we're talking about there is embracing a style which fits in with the car that we've already got. You're not going to see any glossy fiberglass volcanoes in the boot of a car coming out of our shop. There's nothing wrong with that if that's your style. But we like to create sound systems that perhaps could look like they might have been a factory option. Now, you don't often find very large sound systems or show sound systems as a factory option. I get that. But we're looking to embrace the style of the car that's already there. We're looking to work in harmony with the interior styling and the interior design, the materials and the way they're used in the car already, and create something which is clearly a custom sound system, but works visually in harmony with all of that. That's something that's always got really good feedback for us. People really like seeing systems like that. And I like the challenge as well. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into it, and I'm looking forward to showing off what we're learning, what we're doing with this build. It's going to be a challenging build. It's going to be quite large, and it's a fairly involved build. There's going to be a lot of details to plan for and execute, and that's the sort of thing I really like sinking my teeth into. So keep your eye out for the next episode of Connected, where I start to get into the design challenges and start to have a look at the car to see exactly how we're going to make a big, fantastic sound system work in this little 86. Thanks for watching, everyone. It's been great to have you here. We would really love to have more viewers on board. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, do the things that are good, and watch more of our videos. We do already have a stack of videos here, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of Connected.